Hi, my name is Garrett Christopher. This is my YouTube channel, Garrett's Sports Take. Today, we're going to actually split this up into three different sections. The first one being me talking about my failure again for week 12. We'll predict week 13, and then I'm going to talk about who we kind of see coming out as the season kind of finishes up and going into the playoffs. In any case, please visit GarrettChristopher.com. You'll find out more about me. I am a self-published author. My fifth book, The Takeover, Part 1 of a sci-fi series, just got released a couple weeks ago. And so that's out there for you. And then also I did an audiobook in conjunction with that novel. And that's available on Audible and iTunes. Plus, on my weekly podcast, I'm presenting the audiobook in its entirety, in sections, of course. And I'll be working on section 3 today for that. So yeah, you can kind of get a little snippet each week from it. Plus I'll kind of give you some backdrop as far as why I did this, why I did that a little bit. I'm not going to talk too much on it, but I'll present that a little bit. And please, but also go to Audible or iTunes and purchase that audiobook, as well as my other two audiobooks for the chair and the studio musician. Great. I have two more YouTube channels. There's Garrett's Movie Take, where I present movies I just saw. This week I saw Dune and King Richard. So please visit those. No spoilers. I never give a spoiler, but I do kind of give my review over the film and what I thought about it. And then Garrett's Take, more serious stuff. And so please visit all those channels. I've got the weekly podcast you know about, the stuff on iTunes and Audible, and yeah, my website. So there you have it. Cool. All right, let's talk about week 12. So as of right now, this is Monday. So we still haven't completed the Monday night game, but as of right now, I am 8-6. Okay, I started off 1-2 over Thanksgiving, and yeah, so at the very best, I'll be 9-6. Still well below what I wanted to do for the year. I wanted to be at 750, and I didn't win the pool because someone already has only 4 losses. So even if they lost tonight, they're still, going to be 5 losses and beat me again. So I lost money. $10 this week. We doubled it. That's lunch money with a soda. So no good there, but it's still over 500, which unfortunately is better than last week. So we'll see what happens this week. Okay, let's go over the picks for week 13. Where's my paper? I wrote it nice and big so I could read it without my glasses on. Let me go down the line, and then I want to talk about how I think things are shaping up, right? So now we're, 2/3 of the way in. Here's how things are going. And the more I thought about it, when I looked at it this morning, I'm like, where a couple weeks ago I thought, man, stuff's really crazy and wacky, and it's kind of sifting through, isn't it? If you look at the standings and look who's on top and who's kind of like, it kind of moving upward or downward, it's kind of making sense, isn't it? It's all kind of making sense. Not as surprising as I thought, and a lot like last year, to be very honest. Okay, so let's talk about week 13. So on Thursday night's game, it's the Cowboys at the Saints. I'm taking the boys. Why is that? Because I think the Saints are in a bad way right now. They're still very, very close. Still like a game and a half or 2 games, I think, behind the Bucks. The Bucks surprised me this past week to win that game. Yeah, I thought they were going to lose. I did. They were on the road and they came through. It's a good win for them. But yeah, I think the Cowboys win that game in New Orleans. It was New Orleans, but I think they'll win that game. You Colts to the Texans. Again, Colts playing a very good football. And they're 6-6, I believe, right now. About where I thought they would be, but they definitely take care of the Texans, even though they are in Texas. I'm taking the Colts for that one. Vikings at the Lions. I'm taking the Lions. It's one of those, division rival type of things. It's in Detroit, and poor Jared, right? But I think that, we know now, it seems like, that the Rams made the correct choice in making that trade. And not everyone was sure about that going in, but because the Rams have kind of righted their ship, and now you have with the Lions. Yeah, he's having a tough time there, but I think they come through. The Lions as a team come through to win that game. Giants at the Dolphins. So the Giants did win last week, and I picked them to win, and they did. One of the few choices I chose correctly. But my Dolphins, who now have won 4 straight, they're 5-7. Will not make the playoffs. I'm sorry. Say what you want. If they run the table, they will not make the playoffs. And they win this game. They're in Miami. Because keep in mind, after this game against the Giants, it's in a bye. This stuff starts getting rough. They play the Jets one more time, so it's not too bad. But yeah, it's going to be rough from that point forward. But Dolphins. And let me say this right now. So I watched the game. Well, half of it yesterday. And I watched Tua. That's what I'm watching for mostly, And he showed me some stuff yesterday. And I know, young guy. At this point, he's barely a year in, right? Because we only played so many games last year. because Fitzmagic started off, right? So Tua was limited. He missed a couple of games this year. So really, he hasn't even completed one full season yet. I saw him finally kind of move out of the pocket, right? Now, there was one fumble early on where he was just surprised. He saw one guy coming at him and the other guy behind him blindsided because that O-line is just crazy, and I don't know if it's like a speed thing or a strength thing. They just cannot keep anyone in front of them. And so the running game has been an issue too. But I can say this. The running backs for the Dolphins go down really easily. They get hit, they get grabbed, boom, they're down. Or when you see top running backs in the league, man, they get hit, they bounce off, they're spinning around, they're going for it. Now these guys are trying, but man, we need a running back with that extra gear. We picked up a guy over this past week off the waiver wire, and we'll see if that pans out. But you need that. You need that. And the misdirection too, because it can't just be straight. I know you want to try and set that up, but I think in this offense, with a lefty quarterback, everything's a little skewed, And I know that certain lefties have been very good, Steve Young being one of them. But I'm just watching what he has to do to get that ball to that running back, to kind of spin around, it's different. And the spin on the ball is different. It's all a little bit different. These guys have been catching balls and receiving, the handoff from right-handed quarterbacks their entire life, right? And now you go into a lefty in the NFL. It's a transition. But I saw some good things from Tua yesterday. I saw some things where I'm kind of like, okay, all right, there's some growth there and some throws. There were also some throws that took a while to get there to the receiver, but there are a couple that got in there, pretty quick. One is a touchdown, a throw to Waddle. But so to me, jury's still out, but heck, over 80% completion of passes. Same thing against the Jets the week before that. And supposedly, this Carolina defense was number 1 against the pass, supposedly. And we didn't have 2 of our better receivers in there. So it was good to see. So it's promising, right? But each year it's promising, isn't it? It was promising last year, and you go into it this year. I digress. All right. So I do pick the Dolphins, though, for that game. Bucks at the Falcons. It's the Falcons. It's the Bucks. I'm taking the Bucks. Maybe a trap game, but I'm taking them based on what I saw this past week. Eagles at the Jets. I'm taking the Eagles. I think they're a good team. The Jets, did win this past week. But I think even though they're going to be in the Meadowlands, I'm taking the Eagles for that one. Cards. So, surprisingly, I'll talk about it at the next segment. I'm sorry. So the Cards at the Bears. I'm taking the Bears. They're in Chicago. And I keep saying the Cards are going to falter, and they only have 2 losses. And they're undefeated on the road. One of 2 teams, the other one being New England, also undefeated. The Cards are 6-0, I think, on the road. How they're going to lose in Chicago. Chargers at, the Bengals. I'm taking the Bengals. So I've been a doubter all year long against Joe Burrow and these Bengals. And not that I don't like Joe Burrow. I think he's a good quarterback. But I watched part of that game as well this past week, yesterday. And impressive. And he's got some weapons on that team. And their O-line. Joe Mixon came out of there doing pretty well. Had 100 and some odd yards in the first half. Some good stuff there. I'm taking them against the Chargers right now. Are getting a little bit of a rough patch. Let's see, the Jags at the Rams. I'm taking the Rams. They're in SoFi. I'm taking them. The Redskins at the Ravens. Is that right? No, the Raiders. I'm sorry. My glasses. I'm taking the Raiders. Big win in Dallas on Thursday for Turkey. I'm taking the Raiders here. I think that I think they're showing who they are. They're a solid playoff team as far as I'm concerned. Ravens at the Steelers. That's a tough one, right? Because the Ravens are in first place right now in that division. The Steelers want to try and get there. They got blitzed by Cincinnati. But I'm taking the Ravens. I think they're going to continue rising up and widen that gap in their division. 49ers at the Seahawks. Seahawks are 3-7 right now, but I'm still going to take them. Niners are playing well, but they're in Seattle. Division game. I'm taking the Seahawks for that one. What's this here? The Broncos at the Chiefs. The Chiefs are showing who they are now. They're coming to play, and I'm taking the Chiefs. They're at home at that one. And the Pats at the Bills. That's a big one. So right now, let's segue into the next little segment here. The Bills are in second place, and the Patriots, damn you, Bill Belichick, they're in first place. and they have a nice record, and they're setting themselves up to be a playoff. Well, right now, I mean, they're a leader in their division, but I think the Bills will overtake. The Bills are going to win this game, so they'll be a half game up on the Patriots, and I think they're going to start playing some ball and getting in there, right? That's what I think. Okay, so this morning I'm looking at the records. Now, 2 weeks ago, I'm kind of looking, I said, and I even said on one of these rants that, hey, let's kind of talk about who we think is going to come in and be on top and who's going to win. And I still think there's a lot of different teams that could end up in the Super Bowl this year. But as I looked at it this morning, aside from Arizona, as far as I'm concerned, for that division, every other team, and again, the Patriots, because again, they're over the Bills, but I think at the end of the season, the Bills will be on top there, and the Pats might be a wild card team. But every other division is kind of how you expected it, So in the AFC, again, the Patriots right now are there. So we'll live in the here and now. Okay, that's a surprise to me. But then the Chiefs are in first place. That makes sense. The Ravens are in first place. That, makes sense. And who's the other team that's in first place? Whoever it is, they belong there. Then you jump to the NFC, and the Cowboys, they have the talent. They should be in first place in that division. The Cardinals, that's a surprise to me. And they're going to, right now, they're 9-2. So even if they really falter, which I think they will, I think they'll still win that division. Unless the Niners just take off like crazy. But I think right now, Arizona's going to win that division. So that's a surprise to me. But Green Bay being in first place, that makes all the sense in the world. And the Bucs being in first place, that makes sense too. So truthfully, as stuff is kind of coming together right now, the teams that you had chosen to be there at the end of the season, they're there at the end of the season. And I think it comes down to, again, the Bucs to me are the favorite, kind of coming through. Although those LA Rams, I'm excited to see that. I think they kind of put it together this past week. And that's going to be a lot of fun. And then as far as the AFC is concerned, I think Kansas City and at this point Baltimore, where I thought the Bills would kind of take that step up. But again, those same teams who were in the mix this past year are going to be in the mix again this year coming up. Who's the other division that I can't think of right now? I know you're like screaming at me. No, it's this team. But there you have it. So at this point, it's kind of, as you're kind of like, the gold is kind of, still sitting there, and there's, a couple little pieces that you didn't expect. For the most part, it's what you expected. So we'll see what happens next couple of weeks, but yeah, it's kind of coming through. So right now, if I had to pick who's going to be in the Super Bowl, I am picking Kansas City and the LA Rams. That's who I'm choosing to be in the Super Bowl. We'll see how I feel in a couple of 3 weeks. And again, based on my record, you definitely don't want to follow what I say. Hey, thanks so much for checking in. I'm Garet Christopher. Please visit my website and my other channels and say hello when you do. Please, whether you want to give me a wave, you want to give me some other little fingers, whatever you want to do, just say hello. I appreciate it. All right. Take care. Have a great day. GoPro, stop recording.